Hello everybody and welcome to the latest Die in the Dungeon tabletop simulator. So what we have on here now is the training dungeon. You can see over here the training layout is just a mini dungeon that I put together to help learn the mechanics and general concepts of the game, whether it's Dominion tokens or gaining ability tokens or fighting on tiles, and finally finishing it off with a fight against an epic party. So in that training layout, that has been embedded here. And what you can expect for the future of this tabletop simulator is to actually be able to use the rest of these tiles to build dungeons. So you can see here, I've got a grid laid out that's magnetized, and you'll be able to build the full dungeon sets in the future. But I can't just reveal everything at once, so we're starting off with a training dungeon. Now this training dungeon has everything you need for all of the different heroes, so you can see level 1, 2, 3, and 4 for the fighter, rogue, wizard, and cleric, as well as one of each of the epic heroes, the particularly strong heroes with special abilities. Also on here, the hero chart, which tells you all of the abilities each of these hero types has, and trust me, they can be dangerous. The tokens, some of them are here, the rest are on the board already. Note that the Dominion tokens are double-sided, and the reason for that is some people may just want a die face on their board, and some people may like the super cute Dominion tokens. And then there's some spare time tokens. You don't really need time tokens in a map this small. A heart token, an ability token, none of which you really need. I have a heart token on here already anyhow. Then we've got the Hero Battle Zone. The Hero Battle Zone is a magnetized space where you bring heroes when you're ready to battle them. So you just drop them over and they will be ready to fight in this Hero Battle Zone. We'll go over that as we explore the dungeon. All right. And we'd be remiss not to have the creature board because you're playing the terrifying monster in this board. So the die roller is ready to roll here, pun intended. And I've set up his stats in this setup, but you're welcome to swap them around. If you play this, you could have a higher might or a higher agility, keeping in mind that you always keep your time to a d20 and you always have your ability set to a d4. And your ability cards, if you were to choose a different creature, I have it preset to the die roller. I think it's the most iconic member of the team, but you could be the diamond, the troll of bones, the die rake. You would just bring this creature board, exchange it with the one down there, along with the standee and this set of 4 ability cards. And that adds a bit of variation to the game. When you invest in that final board game, you know that you have different characters as well as 9 different maps that you'll be able to navigate through, in addition to a 2-player mode or a 3 or 4-player mode if you've got lots of extra dice lying around. All right, these giant dice, they're just there for visuals. So these giant die in the dungeon dice, I just made it look like pretty cool when you can play in 3D. Why not take advantage of it and have giant die in the dungeon walls? That's all those are there for. But the tiles are there for their purpose. And we got a little skeleton on the background with some bloody dice and my logo. And of course the rule book. If you ever want to look up the rules, I do have a link in my website. However, in here you can just change the state of the rule book to look at any page. And I know that can be a little bit fiddly, so it's probably recommended that you get the PDF and play with that instead. But it is in there if you just want to play directly off Tabletop Simulator. The link to the rulebook is in the description on the Steam community, by the way. Alright, and then 3 sets of polyhedral dice. So like I said, the set I already have here for my stats, and 2 sets for rolling both my attack and the hero's attack. And you can interchange them. You don't have to have a certain color for them and a certain color for you, because you'll never roll at the same time. And then there's the dynamic dice. These are miniature dice which will get placed on the creature board when you defeat a certain number of heroes. And of course the randomizer for the hero die. There are certain tiles, and there's one in here that will have you do a random effect. And that is the full set of components there for Die in the Dungeon. So how do you play? Well, there is a turn sequence card here. At the beginning of the turn I would gain 1 ability point, except for the first turn you kind of put your ability on and gain an ability point. Then you have an optional rest. You can lose up to 3 time to gain the same amount of health. I'm at full health. I have a 12 health meter here, so I'm good. Then if a tile, then I lose a time, so I have to take my 20 time and reduce it down by 1. And I would move my creature to the next tile. It says here, if there's a tile token on it, I gain it immediately. See, before I have the effects of the tile, I get the token. This is a Dominion token, so it's Cubera, which is a d6, so anytime I want, I can roll this d6 and add it to whatever roll I happen to be making at the time. Then I'll flip over this tile and see what it is. This is the Hunted tile. It's a level 1 tile, meaning any heroes that are found are level 1, and if on the bottom of the tile, you'll see that there's 2 icons. And you always read the center first in case it has an activity before you fight. So you read the title, you look at the level, you read the text, and then you get the heroes that are there. So this says if you're hit by an agility attack this turn, you lose 1 health and 1 agility. So instead of just losing an agility or a health, you lose both. And I have to get 2 level 1 rogues. So what I would do is I would go over here, I'd find a level 1 rogue, slap it into the hero battle zone, find another level 1 rogue, slap it into the hero battle zone. So there we have it. We're facing off against 2 level 1 rogues. And if you look at the turn sequence, we're doing combat, so I'd flip this over, and now I can look at my combat sequence reminder card. If there is a warrior in the party, make a might roll. There's not. If there's a rogue in the party, complete number 1, but using agility instead. So we would make a agility roll, and they would combine their agility and attack me with it. Keeping in mind that before they attack, I'm always allowed to use an ability, and I don't have that on the reminder card, so I may have to fix that. So I will have to remember that. Always learning. So, but I'm not going to use an ability. My ability is to modify. Next time I use a die, I can increase the die. The other thing I could use is my 1 ability, Roll of Telekinesis. So basically, when it comes to abilities, you have to use up to 4 ability points to use any ability that you have. So the Eye Gaze costs 3. These 2 cards cost 2, 3, and 4. So the only thing I could do as an ability right now is my Eye Modify or my Ray of Telekinesis, neither of which I'm going to do. So now the rogue gets to attack. What they do is they add up their agility when they're attacking, and if you look here under the top section where it says rogue, for each rogue in the party beyond the first, the heroes get 1 additional agility attack for the first round of combat. So they're actually going to attack me twice before I even attack them once. If for some reason they rolled a 15 or higher, they would even get another attack. Now, they can't possibly roll a 15 or higher because they only have a total agility value of 8, which means they get to roll a d8 to attack me. So what you do is you add their agility together, a 4 and a 4, and that becomes 8. And as long as a die can roll that result, that's the die you use. So if they had an 11, I couldn't use a d8. I'd go up to a d12. And then if they had a 13 or higher, I would roll a d20, and so on and so forth. Highest you can roll is a d20. All right, so what's going to happen now? They're going to attack me with their d8 against my agility. My agility is also an 8. You can see here, so they're going to hit me if they roll an 8. They have to be able to roll higher than my agility or the maximum value of their die. They hit me. They rolled an 8. Now remember, don't forget what the tile says. It says if I'm hit, I lose a health and an agility. Normally I get to pick one or the other. In this case, I don't, so whammo, that hurt. And that's their first attack. Remember, they get to attack twice because there's a second thief in the party. They roll the dice and they got an 8 again. That is a unfortunate series of events going on here. But that's what happens when you try to trounce heroes in the dungeon. The bad guy usually loses. And I'm the bad guy. Okay, but now it's my turn to counterattack. When you counterattack, you have the ability to attack in any way you wish. You can attack with might, you can attack with agility, you can attack with magic. And you can use abilities, of course. I am going to look at their stats. Their defense is the same as their attack. So their might is 2 plus 2 is 4. Their agility is 8. And their magic is 2. Now I happen to have a d10 that I placed for my magic stat. So I get to roll a d10 against their defense of 2. Sounds like a good deal to me. I will roll the die. I got a 1, so that's a miss. That's too bad. It happens. The only way I could change that is if I were to use 2 magic points, I could increase my magic attack to a 3, because you can always modify your dice if you have stats available. But that would be a permanent reduction on my magic for a temporary hit, and this guys don't seem like too much of a threat, so I'm not going to do it this turn. So they're going to attack me again now that my attack round is over. They only get 1 attack now because they only got the bonus attack on the first round of combat. So there we go. They rolled a 5 against my 6, so that is a miss. I'm going to attack back with my might or my magic again. This time I rolled a 1. I'm a terrible roller. They're going to attack me again. A 5 is a miss. I'm going to roll it this time. Whammo! 5. There we go. We took one out. So once you kill a hero, they just go back to the pile. You're going to need them in the future. Whoops. I put a level 2 onto a level 1. No, that's level 1. Yep. So I defeated that guy. And what I'm going to introduce here is I'm going to use a die to keep track of how many heroes I killed. Because that matters in the game too. So I killed one hero. Now this hero doesn't roll a d8 anymore because they've only got a 4 agility left. So they actually downgrade to a d4. And a d4 might seem pretty weak against a 6, but if they roll a 4, they still hit me. They rolled a 1, so it's a miss. I'm going to roll my d8 because I still have... Whoops. Where's my d10? There it is. d10 for magic. We'll roll it properly. I rolled a 5. That rogue is gone. So I gain one more hero point or victory point. And we have successfully defeated this tile. Congratulations. We move on to it and we're ready for the next turn. Now if you look at this hero board, if I get to 6 or more dynamic or victory points, I will gain a +1 cube and it'll go up from there. So those cubes can help you modify your dice as well as the game goes on. All right, we're looking top down here. As we go to the next tile, I will gain this might token, but first I have to lose my time for traveling. Then I gain a might token. So what does a might token do? Well, there's different ability tokens here, might, magic, and agility. And every time you gain one, you immediately gain 2 points in that attribute. So here I would gain 2 points on my might, but because I'm already at the max value, now I have the chance to upgrade to a d8. So instead of 6, I can go up to 8 and change my whole die to a d8, which means my attack is stronger, plus I've got more defense and more chances to be hit by might. So that's a good thing overall. Now we're going to flip it over, and it looks like we're going to put that might to the test because we're fighting against a couple of righteous fighters. Maybe they're paladins, maybe they're knights, who knows. If I get hit by a might attack, I'm going to lose a health and a might this turn instead of just one or the other, kind of like the rogues. So we're going to put that back. We're fighting 2 level 1 fighters. I've got a couple extras here. We'll snap those back into place. I should probably have a grid over here now that I look at it. Snapping is a fantastic trait in this game. I'll think about that. But here we go. And I forgot I'm supposed to have gained one more ability point because I started another turn. So now I have 2 ability points. I don't have a level 2 on my board, so I could still eye modify, or I could use my Roll of Sleep card if I wish to. These cards can only be used once a game, whereas the abilities on your card or your creature board can be used at any time in the game. They're reusable as long as you have the points for them. Alright, and then a fighter has a special ability for each fighter in the party beyond the first. The hero's might and agility attack rolls gain +1 after rolling. So they're going to get a +1 to their roll because there's 2 of them. And then they do have a might bonus of 10 or higher, which might actually happen. No, probably not. Okay, so they're going to attack me first. They always attack first because the heroes are annoying that way. The heroes are going to have a 4 and a 4, so they have 8, which is a d8 they get to roll against my might of 8. So they have to roll a max hit in order to get me. That's a 2, that's a miss. Now they add 1, so they actually have a 3 because they have the extra fighter. My turn to attack back, and their magic is also pretty weak, so I'm going to go ahead and attack with my d10 magic. I don't think this is going to be a problem at all, except that I missed. So I'm going to show you how this works this time. I'm going to actually reduce my magic by 2 points. So instead of 10, I'm going to go down to 8, and I'm going to increase my roll by 2 points, because I have to exceed their total magic in order to kill one of them. So I've now exceeded their total magic and shown you how to modify your die roll. And so one of these heroes goes away, and I gain another victory point. Now this warrior attacks. They only have a d4, so roll that d4. They rolled a 1 as a miss. I'll roll my d10 against their magic. I rolled a 6, so now that warrior or fighter has been defeated. Now, reminder, this is a training dungeon. It is intended to be easy. So if this looks like I'm trouncing things, usually in the early game you do trounce things anyway, but progressively becomes harder, or you might encounter some harder dungeon titles in the later maps. All right. So I'm going to lose another time to progress through the dungeon. I'm going to gain another ability point, and I'm going to move forward and get this agility token. Now this agility token will upgrade my agility here, but I only have 6, so it's going to upgrade it to 8, which means my die doesn't upgrade, just my stat value increases. If I was already at 8, then I could switch to a D10, but those darn thieves at the beginning of the game caught me good. Alright, so I made it to this tile. I'm going to flip it over, and we have found Deadly. If I'm hit this battle, I lose an additional health point, and that I cannot avoid. So I could lose a might or an agility or a health or 2 healths. We'll see what happens. So first off, I have to find, and these are level 2. Don't forget, that 2 is very important because it dynamically changes the power of the creatures you're fighting. So I always go hero or the fighter first, and thief second, because that's the order in which they attack in. I always put them in that sequence. So there we go. And now I have 3 ability points. I could put one of these to work. Roll a disintegration. Choose 2 heroes in combat. They must each make a magic check using the party's total magic as their stat die. If either rolls less than 10, that hero is immediately defeated. So we're going to play around with this. We're going to show you how an ability card works. I'm going to use up all 3 of my ability points, so I put the die off my stat bar until I get another point. I will take this card. It'll go to the side. Basically, it's not used again in the game. So I choose 2 heroes. There's only 2 heroes in combat, so there you go. They must each make a magic check using the party's total magic as their stat die type. So their total magic is 2 plus 1 is 3, so they only get a d4. And if either of them rolls less than 10, that hero is defeated immediately. Now, they can't possibly roll a 10, and that's designed that way. It's really hard to dodge a disintegration roll. So both of them are defeated. I don't even have to worry about battling them because of that superpowered ability I just used. Shooting rays from my wonderful eyes, just like a beholder might. So I'm going to gain 2 more points. That brings me up to 6 victory points. When I'm at 6 victory points, I gain my first dynamic cube. Now, the dynamic cubes are all 6-sided dice with pips, but I don't get to turn them to 6. I turn them to whatever value the plus is there. So this is a +1, this one +2, and so the more guys I defeat, the more versatility I have to modify my die rolls, because this is one die roll that I can modify and use up, and once it's used up, it'll be removed. And so we'll test that out as we go through this dungeon. All right, so we are there. We are progressing through the dungeon. I've already lowered my magic, so me getting that right now is not going to help much anyway. So I'm going to go down this way. First, I will lose a time, down to 16 time. If you go to 0 time, you lose the game. That's not going to happen in this tiny dungeon, but it's good to get used to using your time dial. I'm going to gain 1 ability point, because I gain 1 per turn. And we're going to progress to this tile. In this tile, we found Timeless. When you are hit this battle, lose 1 time. So whatever hit I would normally face, I would lose plus a time. So that's going to hurt if I get hit. That is a level 1 tile. So I'm going to fight a level 1 rogue and a level 1 wizard. So there's the rogue, there's the wizard, and they get to attack first. And because they have a rogue, they're going to attack with agility. You can see it outlined in that colorful die image, and then they're going to attack with magic. Now, neither of them has a special ability in terms of multiples, because there's only 1 of each, so I don't have to worry about that. And they have to roll 10 or higher for magic, which is not going to happen. So their special abilities are moot. They're not tough enough heroes. So they're going to attack first with agility. So they have a 4, and a 1 is a 5. So they're going to roll a d6 for agility against my 8, which means they're only going to hit me on a 6. That is a miss. And then they're going to attack with magic, which is a 6 plus a 1, which is 7, which means they get to roll a d8 against my defense of 8. So they have to roll a max hit. A 6 is a miss. So now I'm going to attack back. Now, doesn't make sense for me to attack their magic this time because they actually have 7 magic defense. Their agility is 5 and their might is 3, so it actually makes sense for me to do a might roll. I'm going to attack with my might this time. Maybe I'm going to bite him. Ooh, I bit him good. I'm going to nail that wizard. That wizard is dead, or defeated, as the term is used. I'll gain my point there. Now the rogue will attack. The rogue is down to just 4 for their agility, so they'll roll a d4. They got to get a 4 to hit me. They rolled a 1. I will keep on. We're going to bite this guy too. I rolled a 2. That's a miss because he has a 2 defense for might. So I should have rolled for magic. So I will modify my roll. You know what? I'm going to use my dynamic cube this time just to show you that. So if this was a 2, I could lower it to a 1, but it's only a 1, so I'm going to remove it and increase my die roll to a 3, which now defeats the rogue's might. And that rogue is gonzo. So I will gain another point. I'm up to 8 victory points. And in pretty good shape here, considering we're halfway through the dungeon. But it's a training dungeon, so this is easy peasy. Alright, so you can see here we've got another Dominion here. This is Twent. Twent is a d20. A d20 is a fantastic die minion to have when you're trying to finish the dungeon. So we're going to go that way. I'm going to gain my ability point, go up to 2. I'm going to lose my time, go down to 15. I'm going to gain that die minion token. We're going to flip these over. I love the cute images that artist Tristram Rawson did, along with all of the other art in the game. Really came together well. But that is going to cost me. Look, it's a surprise. Ooh, so you're going to get to see the surprise die now. Now, the surprise is level 1 heroes, and the heroes get 2 attack rounds prior to my first attack. So this really is a surprise. And what happens is if you see circles with question marks, you have to roll this. Now, you have to get at least 1 hero that is not a cleric, but otherwise it's whatever you roll. So we'll roll first die. We have a cleric. So level 1 cleric. We'll put him over here. Second die. We have a -1 heart, so I immediately lose a heart. Ooh. Roll the third die. We have a wizard in the party. I think it's a wizard, Harry. And fourth roll is another cleric. So I'll slide this guy over and drop another cleric. Now this is your first time seeing the cleric in action. And the cleric doesn't even attack. You can see none of its icons are highlighted. It's not an attacking character. What it does is its stats boost every other class. And it protects them because it has to be defeated first, which gives the other characters more opportunities to attack. So here we are. I've got 2 ability points. I could use my eye gaze. Each time I'd roll dice this turn, I can roll twice as many, add them together. I could use my roll of sleep, removing a hero from combat for 2 turns. I like that one. Or a roll of telekinesis. So we're going to show you... I don't have enough points for the eye gaze. So we're going to show you how to use the eye modifier this time. So I will lose 1 ability point using my permanent ability that I can use anytime. It's called the eye modifier. So the next time I'm going to roll a die, instead I get to increase the size of that die for this roll. So the heroes are going to attack. There's only 1 wizard, so there's no wizard bonus, but the cleric says for each cleric in your party beyond the first, I lose an ability point. I'm supposed to lose that ability point before I use an ability, but I did have 2. So now I have no ability points. I'm using 1 for my ability, and they got rid of 1. Alright, so they attack with magic. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They get to roll a d10 for magic against my magic of 8. So they roll a d10. They've rolled a 6, which is a miss against my 8, so that's fine with me. And I am using I modify. So only this roll do I get to increase the die to the next size. The best thing I could probably attack with is not magic, because they already have a 10 defense against magic. That's not good against me. So I'm going to go against their... I guess their might and agility is the same, and so is my roll. So we're going to go for agility. This time I'm going to float and fly around them and catch them from behind. But instead of a d8, I get to roll a d10 this turn, which is not a huge change, but I'm going against a total defense of 5. So let's give this guy a shake. Give it a roll. Oh, we got a 2. So my I modifier did not really help me much. Yeah, we're just going to leave it at that. They're going to do their next attack with their magic. They get to roll a... Remember, they have 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They get to roll a d10 as well. They have rolled a 2, which is a miss. So I'm going to do a regular might attack with my d8. A 4 against their 5 is a miss. They're going to attack me back with their magic. Now they hit me 8 against 8. So what happens when they hit me this turn? Well... Oh, they were supposed to attack me 2 rounds prior to my first attack, so we're going to give them an extra attack after this. I'm going to take the magic damage. Instead of health damage, I can take magic damage. So I can take one or the other. My choice. Now they're going to do the second attack that I ignored at the beginning of the game. That was a 7 against my original 8, which would have been a miss. And now we'll proceed to my attack. I'm attacking with agility again. 6 against their 5. I finally hit them, so I can take out a cleric. Goodbye, cleric. We'll gain a victory point. And now the wizard attacks again, but their attack is now only a 6, 7, 8. So that's better than 10. 8 against my 7. That is a miss. I'm going to try to might them back. I have to roll higher than a 3. That's a success. I take out another cleric because I'm not allowed to take out the wizard. The wizard is now down to just a d6. Can he hit me with a d6? Smash! That's a 6. That's a hit. I'm going to lose a health this time. Alright. Now I attack back against their might. I'm going to roll a might attack. Roll that puppy. Just have to beat a 1. That's a hit. Wizard goes down. And we are successful. I think I forgot a point there, so I'm up to 11 victory points now. Not quite enough to get my second special die there. Alright, I've defeated the surprise, and I got my D20 Dominion. I could have used that at any time, but I chose not to. So now what's going to happen? I'm going to keep on going. I'm going to go for this D10 Dominion here. So I will lose a time, gain an ability point, swoop over here, snatch up this Dominion token. Now we've got an army that's going to be ready for us to fight against the epic party. I'm going to flip this over, and we found some casters. I'm not allowed to use might. That's not good. They're level 2, so there's a level 2 wizard. Slap this guy over here. And there's a level 2 cleric. Slap this guy here. I'm not going to use my I modify, and my roll of telekinesis is if I would make a might or agility check, neither of which I'm making. Those are special dungeon tiles to dodge things. So they go right into their attack. They don't have a special attack because there's only one of each of them. But for magic, instead of a d10, look at the level 2 wizard has an 8 magic. The level 2 cleric has a 4 magic. So a total of 12. They get to roll a d12 against me this turn. They're getting tougher. So a d12 against my defense of 7. They have a pretty good chance of hitting me. Let's see if they do it. Roll that d12. That's a 5 only, so that is a miss. So thankfully... But now what am I going to attack them? I could go against their 12 magic, and I'm not going to stand a chance. I could go against their 7 agility, which is tough, or their 5 might. But I can't go against their 5 might, remember? Because the casters say I cannot use might to attack in this battle. So this became a much more difficult battle. I'm going to have to go agility against their 7, which means I'll probably have to pull out some special tricks. Let's see what I roll. So I roll my d8. I have a 1. There's nothing. I could roll a d20 to boost it, but I'm not going to do that this turn. I'm just going to say pass. They're going to attack me with magic again. 7 against my 7. That's a miss. I'm going to attack back. 5 against their 5. That's a miss, but I'm going to use a magic point. So I'm going to be down to 6 magic and boost that up to a 6, which is a hit, and I take out the cleric because I don't want to deal with these guys too long. They'll start whittling away at me. So now he's just down to a d8 for magic, which is still a tough number, given that I'm down to 6, but we'll see. He rolls magic. 7 is a hit. It's not over 10, so his special magic bonus doesn't apply. He just does either a magic or a health damage. I'm going to take the magic damage. Alright, my attack. I'm going to attack with might. I have a d8 again. Now, he only has 1 might, so... that's a miss. Oh wait, I can't use might. Never mind. That would have been agility, which is still a miss. I'll let him attack me again with his d8. 5 against my 5 is a miss. So I will attack with my agility again. 1 is a miss. He's going to attack his magic. That is a miss. I'll attack with my agility. 8 against 3. I take down the wizard. Waha. Alright, so I defeated 2 more guys. I have 2 more victory points. And because I'm at 12 victory points, I now get a 2 onto this dynamic die spot. Alright, we defeated the casters. So where do I want to go next? Well, we're going to wrap up this game. You can see what happens as we go to different spots here. We're going to try to get to the epic tile and just finish this off. But you're welcome to explore the whole dungeon just to see what the game has to offer. So as I go to the next tile, I'm going to lose a time. I'm going to gain an ability point. And when I come over here, I'm actually going to get this ability token. Now this token allows me to gain 2 ability points right away, or I can use it later in the game. So I'll use it right away. We'll take those ability points. You cannot upgrade an ability token anyway, or an ability die. It always stays at 4. Then we flip this over. We have hide. I lose a time if I cannot instead lose a health. So I just immediately lose 1 time. If I was really low on time, that would suck for me because time is of the essence. So there we go. If I thought I needed more health, I could go up and try to nab that health first. I'm at a pretty decent 8, considering I'm only facing off against 1 epic party. So we're just going to lose my next time. Gain an ability point. I can't gain any ability points. So prior to gaining an ability point, I'm going to trigger my I modify. So the next time I roll a die, I'll get to roll upsize. So that would have cost me 1, and then I gain an ability point, because abilities you can use basically at any time. You can see here there's a die on the dungeon token. All that represents is that this tile is an epic tile, and that's because some of the bigger dungeons can look confusing, and you're always supposed to know where the die in the dungeon token is, or where the epic parties are. So we'll flip that over, and oh wait, I have to use up 1 more time. I might have already. That's okay. We have an epic party. You cannot use abilities while cleric is in the party. Ooh, that's tough. That means at the beginning of the game I can't even use that. What do we have? We have the assassin. We'll slap him on the table. Ooh, that's an epic hero. Then we have a regular rogue. And remember, you got to look at the dungeon tile. It's still level 1 heroes, so this is the easiest epic party. So level 1 rogue, a level 1 cleric, and a level 1 cleric. So there you have it. That is the party I'm facing up. The epic party always led by 1 epic hero. Now, I can't use abilities while the clerics are in play, so even if I wanted to, I cannot. Because there's 2 clerics, I immediately lose an ability point. Every cleric beyond the first causes you to lose an ability point. There's no multiples of the other heroes. Now the assassin cannot be defeated until the other heroes are defeated, and when the assassin is the only hero, it gains +2 to might and agility, so it's a pretty tough little character. It also has a critical strike. If the hero succeeds on an agility attack, it deals an additional agility damage, so this assassin is not playing for fun. And then there's a regular rogue, so there's definitely going to be an agility attack, and their agility is 16 plus 4 is 20, so they have a massive d20 to roll for their agility. They have a really good chance of hitting me because I only have 8 defense. And I can't use any ability points until I kill off those clerics, so that's where these dominions are going to come in handy. So they get to attack first. Good thing is they only get 1 attack per turn because you only get 1 agility attack. So they roll. Agility result is a 7 against my 8, so that's actually a miss. Congratulations for me. Now, they have 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 magic defense. Their agility defense is way too high, and their might defense is 12, 14, 16. So it makes the most sense for me to use a magic attack, which is a d10, going against their 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 defense. So I can't possibly defeat them on a natural roll. I would have had to use an ability, which I can't use, or a Dominion, which I have at my disposal. The good thing about Dominions is you don't have to use them until after your roll. So if you couldn't possibly hit them with a Dominion roll, you're not wasting them. So let's see how I roll. I'm going to roll my d10. I've got a 9. 9 is pretty good. I could use a Dominion, I could use my dynamic dice, or I could use my magic. I'm not up against any wizards, so I think it's pretty good to use magic right now. So I'm going to actually decrease my magic by 3 to increase this by 1, 2, 3. So I have a 12. 12 allows me to defeat 1 cleric. So goodbye, cleric. All right, so now they're going to attack again. They still have over 20 for agility, so they're going to still roll this d20. And they have rolled, oh, this epic party is not epic at all. They only rolled a 2. I'm good with that. So I'm going to fight back. I'm going to roll my magic again. Now their magic defense is only 7, 8, 9. I've rolled a 6. Now I've only got 1 more modifier. You can't actually reduce any of your stat dice below 1. But what I can do is I can whip out the Dominion now. So I'm going to play around with Spartan. So Spartan is going to come into play. If you flip him over, you know that he's a D10, Spartan, hence his name. So what he's going to do is he's going to allow me to add 10 to my roll. Not 10, a D10, because there's always random. I might only roll a 1. So Spartan strikes with his spear. He's been training for this moment. 7. 6 plus 7 is 13. That is high enough to defeat the second cleric. So we'll whip this cleric out of here. Now, if I was continuing on in the game, I might gain more victory points, but they don't matter because you don't upgrade your dynamic dice until after combat. Alright, so they are going to attack again. They still have 20. Let's see if they can actually hit me this turn. 17, that is a hit. Now remember, rogues, if they roll a 15 or higher on the first agility attack in a combat round, they perform one more agility attack. So, this is one combat round, they rolled a 17, so first off, I'm going to be taking 1 damage. I can take a health or an agility. I will take a health damage because I want to keep my agility defense up. And then, because they rolled higher, they get to attack again. And they got a 13. That is a hit on me again, so I will take another health damage. Alright, my turn to attack back. Now keep in mind, I've killed the clerics, and the epic party says I just couldn't use abilities while clerics in the party. So I may as well put these 3 points to use with an eye gaze. So we're going to trigger that, use all 3 points with an eye gaze. My other alternative was a roll of sleep or a telekinesis or a command. Roll of sleep actually would have been really good against the assassin. Yeah, let's do that instead. We're going to use our 2 points roll of sleep against the assassin. So that would bring me down to 1 ability point. And what it says there is I remove him from combat for 2 turns. If I defeat the rest of the party in 2 turns, the combat ends. If I do not, that guy comes back. So he's just sleeping right now, the assassin having a nap. So I could finish this off with a magic roll. I roll my d10. I found a 6 against his 1. I take down the rogue. The rogue has been defeated. The assassin is sleeping, so maybe I just give him a nudge, a little bite in his sleep, finish him off, and I have defeated the epic party in this little quest of mine. And there you have it. That is a very quick version of Die in the Dungeon using a mini-map with a pretty easy setup where you get lots of stat bonuses and dominions at the early part of the game. And I didn't even use all those stat bonuses. So I think most people who try this dungeon will probably succeed and not die in the dungeon, so they won't live up to its name. But trust me, there are some hard levels planned for this game, some difficult situations. There's a player versus player mode available, and there's actually, like I said, a 3 and 4 player mode if somebody, BYOD, bring your own dice. So hopefully you like what the game has to offer. Like I said, other characters with standees, their own ability cards. The heroes always come in different ways. There's going to be a total of 60 different tiles, so this is just a small example of the tiles, and a lot to offer in terms of the dungeon setups, including a build your own dungeon mode that'll be included in the dungeon guide. Thanks for watching Die in the Dungeon and other fundamental games game playthrough, and have a wonderful day.